Well, good morning and welcome to Cityline. It is great to be in your home. We have a wonderful hour ahead of us. Later on, we'll be talking with Jake from LeMay America's Car Museum about some of the summer events that they have had and also their big gala coming up here in September. Nick Bayard will be here. He is with Bird Note. And this is a wonderful, interesting segment about a program that happens with KNKX. So I hope that you actually stay tuned for that one. Sharon Chambers Gordon will be here with two of her friends with Raising Girls. And of course, they're always into good trouble. And then with me right now, I want to introduce you to our pet of the week. We have Lauren from the Humane Society who is here. Lauren, who do you have with you that needs a forever home?
I have Lyle with me. He's about 8 years old, we guesstimate. And he's truly a wonderful little mature gentleman who would love any family. And he loves treats, clearly.
Yeah, he is very food oriented, isn't he?
What do you think? You want to turn around for your close-up? Here we go. Here we go.
And how long has Lyle been with the Humane Society?
A little over a month, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's ready for a family of his own. He wants to get settled in, catch those end of summer cuddles, you know, right before school starts.
He's just a big baby, isn't he?
He is. He's truly a gem.
In your mind, Lauren, should he go to a home where he is the only pet, or could he make room for another one in his heart?
He has potential to coexist with another canine friend. We always suggest, coming in and talking with our adoption counselors, and of course doing a slow, proper introduction with any other dogs in the home.
Absolutely. The 3 spots on the back of the tail, I don't know if we can even get this camera shot or not, because those 3 spots are like he rubbed up against a Dalmatian and that was all he got.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there's the little spots.
So, Lauren, tell us about the Humane Society 4th Annual Day of Giving. Rumor has it it's coming up.
Yes, coming up next Thursday on August 24th. Thank you to the City of Tacoma and Pierce County Council who declared August 24th the Humane Society for Tacoma and Pierce County Day in honor of our 135th anniversary. So on August 24th, thank you to our good friends at Petco Love. They're quadrupling any donations that day before midnight. So community support is greatly appreciated.
I love that. And so we'll remind folks again next week when we have our new pet of the week. But we want to say, Lyle, here's to a forever home for you. And thank you so much, Lauren, for being here today. With me now is someone that I get to spend time with. And she is a wealth of knowledge. She is, yes, passionate about what she does, and she is also extremely lovable. Please join me in welcoming ChiQuata Elder. ChiQuata, you are the Landlord, Tenant, and Crime-Free Housing Coordinator for the City of Tacoma. Welcome to Cityline.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
It's been a while since you've been on, hasn't it?
Yeah, a couple of years.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's go back. You've been with the city for how many years?
It'll be 16.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
But you've worked in fair housing for how long?
A little over 20.
A little over 20.
Yes.
I mean, to me, when I hear that you have been in fair housing for 20 years, it makes me think that you have found the one thing that you love. Is that true?
Yes.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the rental housing code, because this is all in the news lately. And why do we have to have one?
So first, Amanda, thank you for the opportunity to be here. The City of Tacoma's rental housing code is an extension of the state laws, because what we found was that the rental market was changing drastically, and so the state laws weren't changing. So we needed to add some additional protections so that we can ensure that people weren't becoming homeless, and then so that it didn't have a negative impact on housing in Tacoma, because it is definitely a partnership between the city, housing providers, and renters. And so if we all work together, we can have a thriving community. So that's why we had to put some additional protections, because with the homelessness crisis, there were things in the state law that were helping make people homeless. And so we thought that that was a very important thing to try to combat. And so we implemented the rental housing code in 2019.
Okay.
And we just recently updated some additional things in the code.
So in 2019, you updated the rental code, but it sounds like, I would guess, I'm assuming, and I want you to tell me yes or no, in 2018, you saw some problems. It was coming down, maybe down the pike, where you were like, we've got unhoused people, we've got landlords. How is this happening? How is this crack opening up? And then in 2019, you were like, okay, now we've figured it out.
Yes. So yes, in 2018 we started to see things like the state of Washington's notice for rent increase was 30 days, and that was no matter how much of a rent increase. And so we were finding that, like, somebody would buy your property in Tacoma and the rent was probably below market rate, and you just bought a property and now you want to raise it so that you get the money off of your investment. But when you have, if you're raising somebody's rent 100% and you're only giving them a 30-day notice, that doesn't give people time
work.
to prepare.
Yeah.
If they can afford it or if they need to find another place to live. So that was one of the big things that we saw. And then there were some other little things that, not necessarily little, but other things that we thought were important. And so we implemented the code in 2019, and then COVID hit. And so a lot of the state law doesn't have an enforcement mechanism. So we put an enforcement piece to our code.
Wow.
The great thing about it is that we have been able to get 100% compliance when we work with housing providers. So even though we have the penalties and the enforcement mechanisms, that's not our goal.
Okay.
Our goal is to have landlords be able to operate their business, but then have tenants be able to be in safe, crime-free, healthy housing.
Absolutely.
And so that they can afford, to live in. So we haven't had to enforce on anybody because we worked with the landlords as we were implementing the first code. We work with the landlords as we're doing the updates so that it doesn't have too much of an impact on them, but it also gave tenants protections. So
I want to ask you this question. When you talk about working with the landlords the first time and then going back when you revisited the policies and working with them then, when you really, ChiQuata, you sit in the middle because you've got landlords that want to move up the property ladder. Some of these landlords use this income. It's their only income. Not every landlord is a landlord of 500 units. So you are over here tending to that, but then you're also looking at the unhoused issue and saying, are our policies matching up? How long did it take you in 2019 to get everything implemented before we shut down?
So we became effective February 1st, 2019. And I think the world shut down like March of 2020.
Yep.
So we were still in that education and outreach implementation mode, trying to get everybody up to code. Like, we did a bunch of outreach before.
Okay.
And so, so it wasn't a long period of time before we, it kind of shut down, but we were still getting the phone calls because there were people that were affected by the moratoriums were in place. So then now the conversations with both landlords and tenants shifted to what can we do, because the governor has now put these things in place that says we can't do this. And so what do we do as a landlord when the tenant's not paying rent? And then, so, or the tenants when there's unhealthy conditions where we were able to go in and do enforcement of like code violations and make landlords do certain things, but we couldn't do those things like during COVID. And so in these last 3 minutes, I told you it goes by in a blink of an eye. Give me an example of what the old rental code, since you just recently updated this, used to say, and what the new one says. So The new one has additional requirements. So like before the notice for rent increase was 60 and now it's 120
days. Okay.
Yes, 120 days. And then we put standards around shared housing because that became a very big part of the rental market, after the rent increases and the market and everything. And then we put standards because some landlords that were operating shared housing didn't think that they had to follow the landlord-tenant laws. So we put things in there like how landlords had to, the amount that they can charge for late fees, and then how they had to address those late fees during the tenancy. So if a tenant had late fees, you can't just wait until the end of the tenancy and then report it to another landlord and you hadn't let the tenant know during the thing and give them the opportunity, because that becomes a barrier. We put restrictions around a landlord just being able to deny a person to live there because of the breed restrictions on dogs. And so then we put in like the late fees can't exceed 1.5% of the monthly rent. When before we would see late fees as much as like $75 a day and things like that. So now we've put some things in place so that people are able to still live because rents are so high.
Exactly.
And then there's things around not having a blanket policy for felonies or arrest records, because we know that have a disparate impact of people of color, or when a landlord would say that a person can't apply there if they don't have a social security number, because that would discriminate against a base of people.
ChiQuata, if we have, and I know we have landlords that are brand new landlords and are just now tuning in and going, I probably should know the rental housing code. How do they get a hold of you and get a hold of those codes?
So they can call Tacoma First 311, which is 311 or 591-5000. But the easiest way is to go to the City of Tacoma's website, the rental housing code website, which is cityoftacoma.org/rental housing code. And then it has a list of all of the new codes, updates, requirements for landlords. They can find every form that they need there, because there's going to be some required forms and everything.
Yes, and I want to say that if they want to talk with you, we've been showing the telephone number across your face. If they just have that one question that ChiQuata's got to answer. This went by way too fast. I want to have you back on again sooner than later to talk about more codes and also how we balance out the unhoused issue. So ChiQuata, thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda. It's always a pleasure.
You're welcome. We have much more to come on Cityline. Don't go away. We'll be right back.